Here is how you access reports on your MAP testing data. First, you log into NWEA MAP on your LT1 ClassLink, and you will come to this screen once you log in. You're going to come over to View Reports, and you want MAP Growth Reports. There are 3 different reports that I'm going to show you on this video. The first one is your student profile. This is where you can find information about each student individually. So you will put in the time frame of the test, the school, your name, the class, and then you can pick a student in particular, or you can just start with the very first student on your list and take a look at the data. You really want to look at this score, and you want to look at the growth rate and the achievement rate. You can also look at this graph down here to show the history of their testing, and you can look at the fall data versus the winter data there. You can click here to go to the very next student, and you can toggle back and forth between reading and math and language usage as well. You can also print these. You can print the screen, you can print a batch of several students, or you can print a family report of this same information. We can talk more about that. All right, so now let's look at a different report. I'm going to go back to MAP Growth Reports, and we're going to look at the class report. With the class report, you're going to again go to the time frame. You're going to clear this out and just click Behave, click Next, clear this out, and click your particular teacher name, click Next. And now you're going to click the subject area. I just like to do all of them at once. And so I am going to click this particular class and then click Create PDF Report, and it's going to show up in what MAP calls a reports queue. So here it is. You'll have a report with all of the student data across the class in general, and then you get a list of each student's individual data. And I'll send you something that explains these percentiles and RIT scores. Let's go back for one more report. I'm going to go back to MAP Growth. There are some other reports here that you can kind of explore, but these are the top 3 that parents and teachers seem to use. The Learning Continuum is the one that shows us by achievement or RIT level how the students did. We can look at reading and view report. And now we have all the areas in which they were tested. You can drop down arrow on one of them and you can see what band they fell in. Within each different band, there are things that they would have been expected to do. You can see the difference between the lowest band and this band. For example, in point of view, is recognized as first person, analyzes the effective narrator's point of view. And now at this band, they were also able to understand how first person and third person narratives differ. In order to work with and challenge these students, you would try to move them to the next band. And you can see now we've also added some additional expectations. All of these students fell here, so you'd like to push them up to the next possible band. And you can look at that for each individual component here. Now, an interesting thing to do with this is you can look at grouping it by standards instead. So here are the standards. You can see where kids fell. But you can also look at it by grade level. So if you have some low kids, you can look at grade 4 and you can see how they fell in terms of the grade 4 expectations if you need to differentiate. So this is a really fun report just to look at. I'm going to show you one more that just is a good class overview in terms of starting to look at grouping kids. This one is called the class breakdown by RIT score. Again, I'm going to select all of the information. I'm going to create a PDF. Your report will display in a moment. If this does not happen, click here. And this breaks it down into the RIT score area. So you can think of this as blue and green and all the way down. And you can see how many kids fell into those high average, above average, average, low average, and below average categories. So it's kind of a quick overview of your whole class in their math and their reading. And sometimes it's interesting to see if they've fallen in the same area or not. So that's a lot, but that's why you have this video. You can go back and look at it piece by piece, and we'll talk a little bit more next week about what these RIT scores actually mean.